Thank you so much, Mrinal Bhai, and thank you so much the entire BCS managing committee. It's really, warm welcome from all the BCS family, and I can see the participants who are joining in like anything in numbers. And special thanks to CA Puneet Mehta for being pivotal and instrumental in having this interaction. So yes, we'll start with the session. So I'll share my screen. Please confirm from your side whether it is visible or not.
Yes, Pat, the screen is visible.
Okay, thank you so much, Manal Bhai. So yes, the today's topic we have is on TallyPrime, and especially the focus is on TallyPrime 3.0 because from 3.0, the Tally is embarking on the journey of GST reconciliations, which is one of the more important aspects of the GST compliance, wherein we focus our lot of time, we focus a lot of energy. Most of our staff spend a lot of man hours in doing GST reconciliations, may it be on the sales level or a purchase level or an ITC level or annual reconciliation. So before we start up on the GST reconciliation part, let's first understand about the journey of Tally for supporting GST in the India. So Tally first came out with the ERP release 6 when there was a GST coming up. So there was a GST billing, which was very, very important part at that time when it was the month of July 17th, and everybody was focused on how the invoicing will be taken care of, how we will generate invoice, what will be the format, what all details will be required. So at that time, we supported GST billings. Thereafter, from release 6.1 onwards for ERP, we supported on the GST returns, how the GST returns will get exported on the same month. Then there was an e-way bill introduced in 2018, just after 1 year in a very short span of time. So Tally ERP9 also supported offline e-way bill integration with release 6.3. Thereafter, we have also an e-invoice era from 2020. So when there was an e-invoice, Tally revolutionized the whole product, and it came out with new product, which is called TallyPrime. So TallyPrime was the reason when the connected invoices were introduced in India, and TallyPrime was required because we wanted to serve the customers in a very efficient manner, and for that there was always a need to have a connected platform. So connected platform was essential for TallyPrime, and that's where we have started supporting connected invoice. So connected invoice is nothing but an invoice generation online, but at Tally we call it connected invoices. And thereafter, after sorting out the invoices part, we also came out with connected e-way bills from TallyPrime release 2.0 onwards. So this is the journey of Tally throughout supporting GST compliance. And we at Tally continuously build our products looking at the GST compliance at the forefront of whatever enhancements which is required from the market, may it be from the business owner perspective, may it be from the chartered accountants fraternity. So this is a brief about how the Tally's journey has been till now in terms of GST. Now let's come out with the reconciliation challenges. So looking to the GST reconciliation process, the way we are conducting reconciliation process, the way professionals and the staff, they are conducting GST reconciliations, there are few major challenges which we find it very common. So first challenge is merging two data sets manually. So let's say we have accounting data in one software and we have a data from GST which is in another platform. Either it be in JSON, may it be we are downloading in an Excel format, or we are transferring that data from GST portal to a third-party software, that is also possible. So any of three can be possibility. So there is always a two data sets which is possible when it comes to reconciliation, and those data sets are always supposed to interact with each other manually because of the cross-platform limitations. Then the second challenges we face is limited time frame. So everybody knows we start reconciliations every month on the 14th, and 20th is the date for GST filing. So everyone at the CA firm, GSTP tax consultants office have very limited bandwidth, limited time frame, and they have almost every customers to serve in terms of GST reconciliation. When it comes to ITC, I would rather say ascertaining the right ITC which is available. So yes, time frame becomes a lot of challenges when it comes to performing before due date. Then the third challenge which we face is tracking pending ITC. So every month we do reconciliation, but nonetheless, as reconciliation word itself says, that it is a perpetual ongoing process. So when we think of a reconciliation, there will always be a carry forward of ITC. There will be some ITC which will be missed out, which will not be allowed, ITCs which will need to be tracked for a delayed. So all these situations creates a lot of exceptions, and these exceptions are difficult to handle. Then the fourth and the last challenge that we find is there is always a submission which is required in the future. So let's say we have finalized some books of accounts for past 2 years. After 1 or 2 years, when there is a time of assessment or a notice or a scrutiny, they require certain details wherein we'll need to prepare, and after preparing we'll need to submit to the relevant authority. So reconciliation, after doing this, it is very, very important to retain the reconciliation. So retention of reconciliation along with books of accounts is also equivalent importance in terms of just doing reconciliation. Reconciliation will just save it somewhere on our computer or system or in our software, and simply it gets saved onto that particular platform. But whenever there is a submission in the future, it is equally important that we get the same thing in the same format and in the same steps that we have saved that. So yes, these are the 4 common challenges that we find from across the country, and basis which we have enhanced some structural capabilities into TallyPrime. Let's look at it, the capabilities of the same. So there are 5 critical capabilities which are enhanced in TallyPrime 3.0 to support the reconciliation, to maintain the efficiency, simplicity, reliability, and flexibility of the reconciliation in which everybody is used to do. So the first structural enhancements that we have done is ability to save GST data inside TallyPrime. So since the GST data is presently may be in the JSON format or may be somewhere in the Excel format, there are cases wherein we merge both the data sets, the data of books of accounts as well as the data of GSTN, may it be GST 1 or 2A or 2B. We merge it into the Excel and we do some reconciliation using Excel capabilities like filter or maybe pivot table or any other mechanism. So to avoid this kind of situation, to ensure that both the data remains in the same platform, so TallyPrime has enhanced the ability to get the GST data and reside it into the TallyPrime itself. The second one is to solve the challenges of ITC carry forward. So to solve the challenges of ITC carry forward, we have enhanced and introduced a GST effective date for each transaction. So let's say you have a particular sales invoice. So it will impact on GSTR 1 as well as it will impact on the GSTR 3B. So you can have a separate 2 dates for one sales transaction, so that whenever there are chances that GSTR1 is filed for a particular month, but the impact in the 3B has been delayed or carry forward to the next month, then this kind of situation or exceptions can be seamlessly handled. The third capability that we have added is ability to correlate ITC status inside purchase expense and bill. So this is very, very important in terms of capability to retain the record of reconciliation in the future for the future submission. So let's say we are done with the reconciliation, and after 1 or 2 years, we need to fetch the status of a particular expense. We have a particular problem with respect to an expenditure or a party, or with respect to a set of records. So how we'll handle that kind of situation? So Tally's ability to correlate that ITC status inside the sales entry or a purchase entry, that will help users to fetch the data in the future without doing anything. It will be effortless data fetching. The fourth is a separate reconciliation for chartered accountants and the business owners both. So here, when we discuss about the ITC, there are 2 major challenges that we find onto the market. So the first challenge we have is with respect to ITC loss. So ITC loss, that is all ensured by the reconciliation by GSTR 2B, and majority the same is catered through chartered accountants, right? So in this case, we as a professional always ensure that our clients do not have any kind of ITC loss throughout the year. And for that, all the elements in our office, all the staff works seamless and in a timeless manner, right? So GSTR 2B is a reconciliation which solves the problem of ITC loss. There is also another angle with respect to ITC. So if we think from a business owner perspective, there is a problem of delay of ITC. So business owners face challenges of delay from their suppliers. So ITC delay creates 2 kinds of difficulties for business owners. The first difficulty which business owners face is in terms of cash flow. So to the extent they have ITC delay, they'll end up paying more money. They'll end up having more loan utilization. They'll end up paying more interest cost. So this will directly impact on the profitability as well as the cash flow. So it is very important at the outset of ITC reconciliation that the problems of business owners as well as the problems of chartered accountants who are doing reconciliation for statutory purpose, both has to be solved in a holistic manner. So that's why Tally has also come up with the GSTR 2B reconciliation as well as GSTR 2A reconciliation for business owners. Then the fifth capability, comparison view of books versus portal on single screen. So this is essential, sums up everything which every chartered accountant or a tax practitioner will be looking for. So on the same screen, you'll be able to view your total data, your data as per transaction. So here, if we say about the comparison, so comparison will be on a total to total basis on the same screen. Comparison can also be on a transaction to transaction basis. Comparison can also be on a party to party basis, comparing books versus portal data. So Tally has ensured by enhancements in 3.0 that you are able to compare on a total basis. You are able to compare on a party level basis. You are able to compare on a transaction to transaction basis. So whichever layer of reconciliation as a professional or as a user you want to go into or you want to drill down into, Tally has ensured that you will be able to do it seamlessly using TallyPrime. So these are some structural changes that were essential and that has been made in TallyPrime 3.0. Now let's look at to the solution walkthrough. So we'll have 3 walkthroughs. First one is the GSTR1 reconciliation. Let's open up Tally and let's have a look inside TallyPrime. So we have here one demo data with us. Now for reconciliation, we will need to go to display more reports. Then we'll go inside the statutory reports. There we have option of GST reports. So whenever we go inside this GST reports, here you will find a lot of new options like track GST return activities, then e-invoice e-payable. Then there is a separate menu which has been introduced, a section called reconciliation report. So a reconciliation report has been termed as a separate section for TallyPrime 3.0. So let's get inside to this. So here we have 3 options as we discussed: GSTR1 reconciliation. Now let's get inside the GSTR1 reconciliation. So here we have GST reconciliation and the period that we have mentioned. So here we can see in the same manner the way in which we are used to view. Let's say this is by default for the month of August. If you want to change the period for some other month, so we can definitely change, let's say April 23 to 31st August 23. So here the data is open for the whole period. Now how to reconcile? So it's a simple process, very easy. We need to download the JSON file from GST portal and upload it here in simple, easy 2 steps. So we will go to import menu. So when we go to import menu, we have an option called GST returns. We will click on the GST returns. So in GST returns, it will ask which type of return you want to import. So let's say we are importing GSTR1 here. Now we will select the path from where the file is saved and from where we expect Tally to get the data. So here we have GSTR1 JSON files, which we have downloaded. We'll copy this path and we'll go to TallyPrime and we'll simply paste this. So the moment we paste this here, we'll have all the files which is in the format of JSON will be tracked by Tally. So one by one we can upload this. So let's say we have uploaded for the month of April. So whenever we upload this file, the transactions present in the file gets imported into Tally. You can see the moment we have imported transactions, we will be able to view all the data in 2 colors, black and blue. Whatever is in black color, those are actual entries in the books of accounts, and whatever we are able to view this in the blue, that is the data imported from GST portal. So the way in which we are used to view our sales reconciliation, TallyPrime on importing the same correlates the data with the books of accounts. I would say rather a sales entry which we have passed in our books of accounts, and it will show a comparison view on a total basis. Let's also import some other month's JSON file. So we'll get the holistic view of the particular capability of reconciliation. So here we are importing for the month of May. So for the month of May, it is imported. You can see the number of counters will get changed. Let's also import for the month of June. So let's say we have imported for the first quarter. So TallyPrime, when it is importing a particular transactions, it just not only imports the transaction, but it also imports other things, as well as it reconciles the transactions automatically when the GST parameters in the JSON file, as well as the parameters which is present in our books of accounts, is matching. So here we have imported some transactions. We'll have a quarterly view of this. So for the first quarters, we have 98 invoices, and out of 98, we have here 97 invoices, which is already present in the GSTR1. So there is a gap of one invoice, which will be evident from this report. Let's say if we want to drill down to this report, we will go inside this report, and here TallyPrime will automatically reconcile the data basis parameters, right? So here you can see on the last column, the GST status of reconciled or not reconciled party wise. So how many bills are there party wise, and whether it is reconciled or not party wise, that can be easily known from here. So I have lots of party here, but the moment I import this, I'm in a position to know that, okay, only one party remains unreconciled, and I can take appropriate action basis this report. Even if I want to drill down to the party level, I can click inside and see here that this is a transaction which is not available onto the portal. It is available only in the books of accounts. So basis on this, I can take corrective action, and I can ensure that my books of accounts and my GSTN data matches. So this is simple GSTR1 reconciliation, which will help us to know that whatever you have filed in the GSTR1, the same is present and the same is in line with the books of accounts of the particular client, right? So simple, reliable, and flexible the way you want, and simple. We don't need to do anything to match it. We just need to focus our time, energy, and efforts only on the transactions which are not matching. So let's say here we have 98 transactions, but if we are going to match manually, we will end up matching it one by one or a party wise. But here in case of Tally, the moment we import it, whatever parameters are matched are reconciled automatically. So as a professional, any of your staff, whenever they are doing reconciliation of sales of a particular party, they need to focus on only one transaction out of 98, so that their time, energy, and efforts are focused on a value adding and a proper entries which needs your attention as a professional or as a professional judgment, right? So this is a simple GSTR1 reconciliation. Let's move on to the GSTR2A reconciliation. So here we have GSTR2A reconciliation. We will pick up for a particular quarter. So let's say April to June 23. So April to June 23, we have limited invoices. We have also downloaded JSON file for the same. Let's go to the JSON file. So here in this folder, we have GSTR2A JSON, which is already downloaded. We'll copy this. Again, the same thing, we'll go to import menu, GST returns. Here, it will ask GSTR2A because Tally has recognized basis report which we are into, GSTR2A. We'll copy this path. So here it will recognize number of JSONs which is present. So we'll import April. Again, we'll go to import GST returns 2A. We'll import and again we'll go to GST returns and we'll import for the June. So in this manner, we can import the required files based on the period. So here you can see that we have 58 invoices as per books of accounts, but we have got 76 invoices on the GSTN. We can drill down into the details and see which all are reconciled, which all are unreconciled. So this is a GSTR2 reconciliation wherein a particular business owner, which are your clients, they can definitely do this reconciliation so that your statutory reconciliation, which we call it a GSTR to be reconciliation, will not be disturbed. You will have clean data always. And once the client is doing reconciliation from their side, you will have a mismatch cases very, very nominal in terms of ITC allowances. So here, if you press on F5, Tally will categorize all the transactions which all are mismatch, in the return period, those transactions that are available only in the books, those transactions which are available only on the portals. So for the transactions on which the purchase entry are not passed, and the last one is all the transactions which are reconciled. So the transactions which are reconciled are also separately shown. So let's say now coming on to the challenge of carry forward of ITC. So for example, let's say these are the parties which haven't uploaded their supplier bills, right? And we'll have to carry forward this ITC and we'll have to check it into the next quarter. So how we can solve this problem? So here the problem is about remembering the things and also ensuring into a reconciliation record that particular this 5 or 6 set of entries will need to check out in the next quarter or a next month GSTR one. So how we can solve this carry forward of ITC effectively in TallyPrime? So simply we'll select this bill, for example, 21st April bill. Here on the right hand side, there is an option available, set effective date. So in TallyPrime 3.0, this is a new field which is available, GST return effective date. Currently, we are into the GSTR 2A reconciliation. So here the transaction date is 21st April, but let's say we have communicated with the party and the party says that we'll upload your bill into the next quarter. So probably you may check somewhere in the July month. So here we can put down any date of July month, let's say 1st of July, or also we can put down 15th of July, whichever date for the month of July. So the moment we put the date July here, it will not change the transaction date. It will not change the transaction date, right? The transaction date will remain the same. But whenever in the month of July, we are again going to upload the JSON file, TallyPrime will remember that this transaction was pertaining to April, and the user has given an instruction that it might be available for ITC in the month of July. So this way the business owners can track those suppliers who are uploading invoices, those suppliers who are not uploading invoices. So GSTR 2 reconciliation, this will always help your clients to check on the ITC delay so that they always stay on top of their profitability. They end up having less interest cost, and they always are in line with their cash flows which they are expecting. And the other benefit of doing GSTR 2 reconciliation is once the party is doing GSTR 2 reconciliation, there are always less chances of getting mismatch in GSTR 2B, which is a statutory reconciliation. And the fraternity is investing so much amount of time, efforts for the same each month for every client, right? So this will simply solve the problems of matching, and as a professional, your staff will end up spending more time on the exceptions, mismatch, where more attention is needed and expected from your side. So we have seen the glimpses of GSTR 2A reconciliation. There are also some set of configurations which are available for 2A reconciliation. How you want to see the reconciliation? Whether you want to see the party GSTN, you want to see the breakup of text, you want to see the amount, you want to view the invoice type, whether you want to see the portal values with the reconciled vouchers, whether you want to view this on the potential matches between books and portals. let's say there can be very few clients wherein there are exceptionally high volume data, and wherein you do not want to invest your staff's time onto the manual matching of this. So in this case, Tally can also show the potential matches between books and portal here. So this feature will help your staff to match the manual, making very easy, simple, and very time effective. So you can also mark it as yes, and Tally will have a default engine wherein it can show some potential matches, that probably this transaction is matching with this GST entries. This transaction is matching with particular this entry, which is fetched from the JSON file of GST, right? So this way, there are multiple options and multiple workflows which is available in the reconciliation that will make the life easy right from 14th to 19th. So this we have seen GSTR 2A reconciliation, very easy, swift, and in line with GSTR 1 reco, which we have seen. Now let's again move to the third reconciliation, which is GSTR 2B reconciliation. So here we'll go to GSTR 2B reconciliation. Again, we'll mark it for quarter 1. So for quarter 1, we have this sort of expense and purchase bills. The process is same. We'll go to import menu. We'll go to GST return, GSTR 2B. So here we'll again need to select folder wherein we have downloaded GSTR 2B JSON. So GSTR 2B JSON we have already downloaded onto this folder. We'll copy this path and we'll import first quarter JSON files. Again, we'll import this. We'll go to GST return. So we have imported for the month of May. Again, we'll go to import and we'll import for the month of June. So straightforward, for 3 months we have imported. So you can view here that we have 57 bills in reflecting in GSTR 2B, but we have 76 records that is fetched from the GST portal. Now, the beauty of GSTR 2B reconciliation is something different, which we want to showcase to you. So the format of GSTR 2A is simple and very easy. That is from the client perspective, business owner perspective. But here in GSTR 2B reconciliation, it is in the same format in which you are getting it downloaded from the GST portal. So we will press here Control F1. You can see here that it is having a breakup of B2B invoices, debit notes, amended invoices. Right? Let's get inside this. So let's say we are going into the all other ITC. We have B2B, B2C. We'll go inside the B2B. So again, in the same manner, we will be able to see the status from the last column, whether it is reconciled or unreconciled. If it is reconciled at the party level, it is marked as a reconciled, and those transactions which are reconciled gets onto the down. Those transactions which are unreconciled remains on the top of the screen. So always as a professional or your staff will focus on the reconciled transactions, and those unreconciled transactions, I would say, not the reconciled one. The reconciled one are taken care by the system itself. So here we can categorize it by voucher type. So by voucher type, it will show us the category of transactions wherein our action as a professional is needed, or our staff needs to focus on this. Whatever are the mismatch, the focus is needed. So during reconciliation, there can be also few exceptions or few challenges, which we also have noticed. So those challenges we are solving at the GST configuration level. Let's see what are those common challenges. So we will press here F11 and we will go to the GST features. So in GST features, we'll go to the configuration. So in configuration, we have more details. In more details, we have a separate feature called reconciliation configure. So this is a new functionality which we have enhanced in 3.0. In the reconciliation configuration, there are three common problems which we have solved by giving three options. So the first one is use voucher number and date as supplier invoice number and date. So whenever you get data from clients, there are few cases wherein the data that you have got, there is no data which is pasted onto the supplier invoice number and the supplier bill date field. Rather, what they do, they simply put the bill number in the voucher number and they are putting the supplier bill date as the voucher date. So in these cases, how the TallyPrime will behave in terms of reconciliation. So TallyPrime will ignore supplier invoice number and supplier invoice date field. It will match the voucher date and the voucher number as a supplier invoice number and date. So it will treat the voucher number and voucher date as a supplier invoice number and date, and will match with the GST and data which we have imported from the JSON file. Now, there can also be a second challenge wherein the bill number of a particular party is very lengthy. Let's say they have added 5 or 7 zeros before their actual numeric starts. Let's say in case of bill number, for example, bill number 15 is there, but before bill number 15, they have 5 zeros which is added. So how to solve that kind of situation? Because whenever you as a chartered accountant has got the data from the client's office, the accountant that have passed the entries, they are not writing 5 or 7 zeros every time. They will simply write bill number 15, right? So whether those kind of bills will reconcile or not, yes, they will reconcile. Here we need to mark it as yes. The moment we mark it as yes, TallyPrime's reconciliation engine will ignore all the zeros which are prefixed before the supplier document number. So all the 5 or 7 zeros before number 15 will get ignored in the reconciliation, and if all the other parameters matches, it will auto reconcile on the import. Now, like zero, there can also be other exceptions like special characters. So in bill number, sometimes whatever data we have got from the client, we have seen that there are some dash, some hash, or some other special characters which are used onto the supplier bill number, but the same are not entered in the accountant or the staff who is doing the accounting entry. So whether those transactions should get reconciled or not, so definitely those should get reconciled, because this is the behavior or a pattern which we find onto the market, and the data that you get, that bill number in the supplier invoice number field is not meticulously maintained in many of the cases. So in those cases, the reconciliation must also be supported, and you as a professional should be able to get the benefit of auto reconciliation. So to cater to those kind of use cases, we have also ensured that even there is a mismatch of special characters in the supplier document number, those characters will be ignored and those entries will be auto reconciled. So these three are the common challenges when it comes to reconciliation. So we have seen the reconciliation, how it is performed. It is just a glimpses. If a detailing is required, it will take a lot of time. So in the interest of time, we'll move ahead. Meanwhile, before that, if anybody has any questions, we can definitely take up one or two questions. We can definitely take up meanwhile during the session. So any questions, Mrinal bhai, we can take up. Okay, so I have many questions parked in the Q&A, and we'll take it up at the end. So we have seen the reconciliation. So what is the biggest benefit of reconciliation? So TallyPrime's 3.0 allows you to do on-demand reconciliation. You can do reconciliation for a quarter, for a month, for a year, in a minute's time, and simply your focus and your time and energy will be only on the mismatch transactions, and you will not have to do everything manually. Let's say whenever you have a data and out of which only 10 to 15% of the entries which are mismatched. So for the rest, 85% amount of entries, you will never need to care about those. You will only need to care about the exceptions, which is 15%, 10%, or maybe 2%. And always as a professional, your time will be saved. So we have seen the reconciliation. Now we want to cover also another topic on the GST transactional compliances. So,
Mrinal
yes.
here.
Yes.
There are few questions on the Q&A on reconciliation part. So would you like to take it now?
Yes, we'll take it up right now, definitely. So
yes.
Let me just read it, and let's have okay. So starting the question. So my question is, if we configure this GST feature screen, this changes will apply to all the clients for reconciliation, which is not desirable. Do we have any other way? So yes, Sumanji, let's say if you are doing this configuration and the GST feature screen, that will be specific to data only, not to the whole of Tally. So I hope I have answered this. The second question we have, can we enter the invoice that are available in 2B only and not in Tally? Can these invoices be directly entered in Tally? So at the moment, there is nothing like that will prompt you to enter from the reconciliation window. But one thing is sure, that whenever you are into the reconciliation window, if you are passing an entry, it will auto reconcile on the save button. How to reconcile the 2A data when that is changing every time? Yes, very valid question, Sanjay ji. So if a 2A is changing every time, in TallyPrime we have also given a button called reset GSTN data. You can reset the GSTN data and do it again. So yes, that option is available, and that can be resorted. The next question we have is, can we download the report of shifted purchase invoices? So download the report of shifted purchase invoices in terms of what? So here you can get the effective GST effective date, and whenever you go into the next month, if you have shifted some transactions to the next month, TallyPrime on the top of screen will show up those transactions in a separate bucket, like current period invoices and other period invoices. So you will be able to get the report of those purchase invoices by going to the next month reconciliation window, and from there you will be able to drill down those reports. So the next question we have is, recorded video available? Okay, so that is on the YouTube. So it is available on the YouTube. You can refer this.
The videos would be available on BCS YouTube channel.
Okay, there is one question called, can we start reconciliation from now onwards, or we have to make it from the April onwards? So here the beauty is, you can do reconciliation for any month for which your Tally data is there in the version 3.0. So even though you want to do reconciliation for the past year or a past month, you can do it. It's a simple import of JSON file, and you can reconcile. So no need to wait. You can do reconciliation for past month, current months as well. So there is a question how to find B2C transaction differences in reconciliation. So yes, Rajesh ji, B2C transaction differences will need to be worked out separately because there is no one-to-one mapping in terms of B2C transactions, because whenever we fetch the data from GST portal, we also get those amounts in absolute total, but not from the breakup of invoice wise. So at the moment that will need to be reconciled on carrying out some additional procedures. Then we have a question: if invoice is booked in June 23 and credit is received in May 23, how do we reconcile it and save the data accordingly? So here you have booked invoice in June 23 and the credit is received in May 23. So there is a catch in this, because if you have received a credit in May 23, you will definitely ask that invoice from the party. So this situation is handled effectively using voucher date, which is your purchase transaction date, your supplier invoice number date, and the third date which we have introduced for the purpose of GST compliance, that is GST return effective date. So to cater to this kind of situation, if you put the GST return effective date as May 23 and the voucher date or a transaction date as June 23, this will definitely solve the problem. So the next question we have: how to change the reconciliation status if it's in mismatch category, however it's matching only slight difference in invoice number format? Yes, Harshal ji. So to handle this situation, there are two solutions. One is on the right hand side, there is a button called set GST status. You can mark this bill as reconciled and those will reflect in the reconciled manually categories. And the second option we have, there is also a feature to ignore some round off amounts like 50 paise or 10 paise or 20 paise. So this can also be, resorted to solve this kind of situations and mismatches. So the next is you can reconcile in TallyPrime 3.0 and 3.0.1. Yes, you can reconcile from all the releases 3.0 onwards. Whether there is any document which gives the guidelines for passing correct entry in Tally so that reconciliation process is smooth. So for this, I would say only one sentence to follow, Iktaji. So whenever the entry is passed, just focus on the uncertain transactions from the GSTR1 report or GSTR2B report. Uncertain transactions category is a category which validates all the transactions with respect to GST validations. If there are missing details or details which are inappropriate, those entries will be bucketed as uncertain transactions. The moment you solve the uncertain transactions, it will be reflected correctly in the proper GST return or applicable GST return. I hope I have answered and your purpose is solved. Does this work in TallyPrime Gold? So TallyPrime has only one version, which is a TallyPrime. In silver or a gold, there is no difference. Silver is for single user and the gold is for multi-user. So there is no difference as such. So the next is, can we extract this reconciliation data to Excel format? So I would request you experience this reconciliation and try to export the report. If you face any challenges, come back to us. We'll definitely look into this, because export is a button which is perpetual prevalent on the any screen which you are into. So definitely you will be able to select some mismatches from there. You'll be able to also email from there as well. Then the next question we have: do we have to import the JSON file every time we wish to check this? Yes, Siddharth, as of now, you need to import JSON file, but you don't need to import JSON file every time. once you import the JSON file, your GST data gets saved into the TallyPrime itself. So we'll show on this. So how this data gets saved onto the TallyPrime. So I hope you are able to see my screen. So we have done some GST reconciliations, right? Let's say April 23 to June 23. So here we have done some reconciliation. Now let's see the beauty of TallyPrime. So we'll mark it category wise. So here we have some transactions which are reconciled. We will go inside one of the transactions. Let's say this is a reconciled transactions. This is purchase. Here on the right hand side, we have enhanced one button in the related reports. So we will click here on the related reports and we will go to GST portal view of invoice. So here on the screen right now, you can see all data in black font. On the right hand side, if we see here show portal value, TallyPrime will fetch the relevant section of a JSON file which correlates to this particular purchase entry or an expense entry, and it will show the comparison. This is the reconciliation. So whatever dates, whatever GST return dates, whatever are the configuration related to B2B sections or GSTN, invoice number, everything you will be able to compare entry wise. So you are able to compare this whenever you are there in the GSTR1, 2A or 2B reconciliation. But nonetheless, at the voucher entry level, you will be able to see this because TallyPrime on the reconciliation does not only reconcile this, it also attaches the data of that particular reconciliation related to specific bill or entry inside the voucher entry. So this gets saved with the entry. So every time you do not need to do it. Once you are importing it and you are saving it, it gets saved with your Tally data permanently. So I hope we took a fair amount of questions. We'll move ahead and we'll cover the rest of questions at the end of session. So let's move to the presentation. What next we have? So the next portion we have is the transactional compliance. So with the introduction of e-invoices and e-way bill, as an auditor, it is very, very important that we are also having a bird's eye view or a snap view for a transactional compliance of GST because there is a lot of volume and other verification parameters involved. How to ensure that whatever clients you are auditing have done a fair degree of compliance over the e-way bill provisions and over the e-invoice provisions. So here you can see TallyPrime has, a robust GST and connected platform. And this platform will simply understand by a diagram. So let's say here we have a TallyPrime. So this TallyPrime is connected with the Tally GSP. So Tally is also a registered GSP. Now this Tally GSP has a connection with the IRP portal, and in turn, it is also connected with the e-way bill portal. So the moment we pass some entries, it goes to the Tally GSP, and from Tally GSP, it routes to the IRP for invoice and the e-way bill portal, and the required information gets travel back to the TallyPrime, and in TallyPrime at the sales entry level, all the required statutory details are saved. So this is a kind of experience wherein your clients will never go out of the product. And what is the benefit if the e-invoice and e-way bill is generated from the TallyPrime? So there are dual benefits from auditor's perspective. So if we see the transactional compliances, you can have a dual checkpoint in terms of e-way bill reports, e-invoice reports, or e-invoice e-way bill register. Now, what is the difference between the reports and the register? So here, e-way bill reports as an auditor gives you the bird's eye view. You will be able to ascertain the ratio of compliant transactions. You will be able to know the count of pendencies. You will be able to drill down on the rejected invoices, wherein somebody made a mistake or it was some other non-compliance part which was involved. So for the invoice or e-way bill reports, as an auditor, you will be able to get the bird's eye view of a compliance scenario of a particular client. And let's say if you want to drill down to the particular transactional aspect, let's say we have 700 transactions and we want to drill down to the particular number of transactions to a particular month of transactions, then you will definitely need e-way bill register. So what is the usage of e-way bill register? You can validate the invoice wise status. You can also compare the invoice date with IRN date. You can also export this report as a part of evidence so that you can definitely refer this for the future and to ensure that you have seen this compliance, which is a transactional in nature, and it doesn't get changed in the future. So register is nothing but a detail view. Now let's look at it inside the TallyPrime. So here we will go to the TallyPrime and we will click on the Go To button. So in Go To, we will type invoice. So this invoice is a report. The moment we go to the invoices, TallyPrime will come out with the statistics of all the bills which are compliant, which are not compliant. So out of total invoices, we have 278 invoices which are GST compliant, on which IRN is generated. 2 are rejected by invoice system. So as an auditor, you will have a fair amount of view within a second that whatever is non-compliance ratio and whatever are the uncertain, these are some kind of errors which your clients need to sort it out. So this is bird's eye view. You can definitely drill down at the transaction level from here itself. If it is rejected, you can also get the status. What was the reason why it was rejected? So if there is something which as an auditor you need to red flag, you can definitely go through this report and get your observations right. So similarly, we'll use Go To button and check e-way bill. So in e-way bill, we have two options, e-way bill report and e-way bill register. So let's say we go to e-way bill report. So we have the similar kind of bird's eye view for e-way bill. For what all the e-way bill are generated, what are the number of rejections, pendency in terms of number of counts, what are the total e-way bills generated, e-way bills with Part B, without Part B. So everything can be known from the single window itself. So from the transactional compliance point of view, you can definitely get an idea that what all is happening on the e-way bill operations front, whether there is something as an auditor that needs to be fixed at the policy level or not, that can be easily configured from the statistical analysis. So this we have understood from the bird's eye view perspective. Now let's understand the transactional compliance from the detailed eye perspective. So we'll again go to e-way bill, and this time we will go to the register. So here it's a register format of the e-way bill. So here in this case, we will be able to know date wise that for which invoices the e-way bill is generated or e-way bill is not generated, what all is missing. The best part is this is a transaction date. The first one is a transaction date and the second one is a e-way bill date. So you can compare the transaction date with the e-way bill date easily. And whenever this is required for the future submission, this can be easily exported. So in a similar manner, you can also go to the IRN register. So let's go to IRN register. So here I'll type IRN register and the IRN register will come up here, will select the all period. So for each invoice, you will be able to get the status, whether it is generated in the system or not. If something is there which is missing, then we can definitely get it. Okay, this invoice is deleted. This invoice is deleted, or this invoice is not. This invoice is uncertain. So there is a compliance lapse for this particular debit note. it can be seen that. So you can get a transaction wise view easily. You can also export this, and that will be very, very easy going through the transaction. So I hope this will be helpful to understand the transactional compliance process, which every GSTP and as an auditor need to do, right? So this was all about transactional compliance from the auditor perspective. Now, what other things we have enhanced in the TallyPrime 3.0.1, which is a faster access to GST returns. So there was a lot of problems with respect to opening up GSTR1 returns when it comes to filing, especially when we are getting the data on the 8th and 9th or 10th, especially on the 10th and 11th, and the transactions are so voluminous, and your staff is always spending a lot of time in just waiting to open that report. So we have worked on this direction robust, and let's see that comparison. So we had taken one data wherein we tried to import it in TallyPrime release 2.1, which is the earlier release, and the same data we tried to open up in release 3.0. So here we are going to the 2.1. We will use the go to button, and we'll open up GSTR1. In GSTR1, we will select the relevant period. We have taken up the past data. So here we have started this. It's almost many seconds. In the interest of time, we'll move ahead. So almost 1 minute has passed for this data to open up. So almost 2 minutes has passed because it contains a lot of data, and TallyPrime requires sufficient time and space to process this further. So here you can see that just over 2 minutes, the GSTR1 report got generated, and it has roughly 6,500 plus entries. Now let's try to open this report in the latest version. So in the latest version, we'll go to GSTR1. The moment we'll go to GSTR1, we'll select the relevant period, which is for the month of June. So here we have got this report, and you can see that this report is opened in just 6 seconds. So from 2 minutes to 6 seconds, we have improved on the speed of opening up the GSTR returns. Now, what all has changed behind this? What has changed behind this? So essentially, whenever you are using TallyPrime 3.0.1, whenever you are saving a particular entry or any user is saving a particular entry, in the backend, the GST reports get generated. So this is the reason that we are able to enhance the reports of opening up GST returns in a very fast manner. So this was all about the capability that TallyPrime 3.0 has, and we have ventured into the reconciliation era, and I hope this will be helpful to everyone in the fraternity. So just after this, we have some glimpses of future. So I just want to hear from everyone whether you want to see what Tally is coming out with in the future. Do you want to see this now? Can I just get a thumbs up from the committee members, please?
Yes, yes, of course, Parth. Would
Yes, definitely.
like to see what new things are.
Yeah, so we'll like to share some insights onto what all new is coming up, and this is coming up in a very near future. So let's look out. So the first one, so we'll play this again.
TallyPrime Release 4.0 brings a delightful visual tool that gives you a bird's eye view of your business in a matter of minutes. With a variety of default tiles and many others that you can add in a second or two, you have a wide range of information to take data-driven actions. You can hover around any tile and drill down at any point to get more information, such as list of vouchers and sales trend. What's more, you can expand a tile and focus on its details during a meeting. Like the various reports in TallyPrime, all the tiles have their set of configurations. You can set the periodicity or scale factor as per requirement. And you can choose to view data, graph, or both. Moreover, you can remove a tile from the dashboard and add it back when needed. You can easily print, export, email, or WhatsApp a tile or all the tiles to share with stakeholders. And you can save view of dashboard for future reference. Dashboard makes data analysis simpler, identification of action items quicker, and therefore decision-making prompt.
So this is the dashboard, intuitive dashboard that we are coming up in the next release.
TallyPrime.
Let's see what is next in the shop.
TallyPrime Release 4.0 brings in an advanced facility to import the data maintained in an MS Excel file to TallyPrime. Irrespective of the set of data you have maintained in the MS Excel file, be it ledgers, stock items, or transactions, you can easily import it to TallyPrime. The sample file that you can export right from TallyPrime helps you enter the information in the format compatible and map to the same entities in TallyPrime. And then you can import the file in a matter of minutes. You can also import the transaction files. The column headers are mapped with the respective fields in TallyPrime. Just import and your transaction becomes a part of your TallyPrime data. The many flexibilities and the simplicity makes importing data from MS Excel to TallyPrime a cakewalk for you.
So this is the second feature in which we are rolling out, which is demanded by all the professionals, and this will significantly enhance the capability and also enhance the working, and that will also help you to get work done in a matter of minutes and seconds rather than doing things manually, copying it. Now let's check out the third one.
TallyPrime Release 4.0 brings a new feature to share vouchers and reports using WhatsApp. All you need is a WhatsApp business account, and you can use that number to send details from within TallyPrime. The setup to use WhatsApp is very simple. You just have to add your WhatsApp business account number in TallyPrime. Now, you can share any voucher or report with your parties on their WhatsApp number. To share details with a party, add his WhatsApp number in the Ledger Master. When you want to share a voucher or report with this party, the number automatically appears in the WhatsApp screen. Moreover, you can directly enter the WhatsApp number of the party while sending the details. When you WhatsApp the details, the customer or seller will receive the details on their WhatsApp. You get to connect to them wherever they are through WhatsApp. As you saw with TallyPrime 4.0, you can WhatsApp any information to your parties, enabling you to share information directly with them wherever they are.
Yeah, so I hope this will be exciting for everyone in the participants and to everyone in the committee members. So this is also something which we publish on a live basis. So there is also a link called Tally Roadmap. So whatever things a Tally is working upon to solve the problems of compliance as well as to solve the problems of your clients, we always put it transparently on our website. You can check it on the website what all we are working upon. So yes, you can check on this link and get the idea whichever features Tally is working upon. So with this, thank you so much. The presentation ends here. We can definitely take up some Q&A which are left apart. So let me just jump over to the questions which we have.
Parth, we can also ask participants to unmute once someone raises a hand. After the questions from the Q&A, we can have some few from the audience if time permits.
Yes, yes, yes. So we'll take a few questions from the Q&A chat box. Is the report for any GST credit taken by mistake who is not eligible to take credit? So yes, whenever you are doing an entry, you can also mark that credit as not eligible. And whenever you have imported a GSTR 2B file, and wherein in GSTR 2B, there are also certain exceptions which are not available as an eligible credit, it goes into that particular section of not eligible. And if you have marked this credit, you can also set the GST status manually, because that requires an expert intervention to decide which credit to take up, which credit not to take up. I hope it's fairly answered. The second, we have how to change the reconciliation status if it's in mismatch category. However, it's matching only slight difference. We have already taken this up, and that's the same question that we had. The next question we have: invoice booked in March 23 and credit received in the month of May 23. Yes, Sangeeta ji, that will definitely be taken care of. You have booked your invoice in March 23. Please do not split your data. Just keep it on a perpetual basis. And whenever you import the JSON file for the month of May, TallyPrime will automatically fetch this and recognize that this invoice is present in the last year, and it will show you in the previous period tabulation of a particular March 23 bill. I hope this is solved. The next is Tally data changed after JSON uploaded? So I think need more clarity on this question. So definitely there is some addition in Tally data when the JSON gets uploaded, but it is not a huge change in the data. I hope that is fairly answered, looking to the expectation. The next is, what if there are amendments in the invoices of GSTR1 for FY 22-23 in FY 23-24? So if there is an amendment of GSTR1, we have already seen that the format of GSTR2B, it shows as an amended invoice, right? From amendments, there can also be one possibility which I should not miss while answering this. So let's say in GSTR1, if you have uploaded something, and after uploaded, you have noticed that this bill has gone some amendment, or there is a change in the value, there is a change in the party. So absolutely there is something which has an impact on the GST returns. So TallyPrime 3.0 by default will track this kind of behavior. So let's say you have exported GST return from TallyPrime 3.0 for the month of let's say March 23, and after exporting, some user in the month of May 23, they have changed that particular transactions. So whenever as an GST auditor, or whenever you are filing GST in the month of June 23, TallyPrime's GSTR1 report will show that particular entry in a separate bucket called marked as amendment after export of data. So this way, TallyPrime 3.0 has ability to capture the amendment after the data is exported from TallyPrime. Not only this, there is also second layer of amendments. So if you are, let's say I'll share my screen just to showcase it and make it more relevant and get the fair idea. So here, let me share the screen again. So in Tally, let's say if we are going to the GSTR1 report, display more reports, we will go to statutory reports. We will go to GST reports here in GSTR1. So in GSTR1, there are two new buttons which TallyPrime 3.0 has introduced. The first one is marked as sign. So mark as sign is a button which will freeze the data in terms of GST. So let's say your staff has filed the GST return. They can immediately make it mark as sign. So if any user is trying to do any amendment or changing any transaction for the past data which are already marked as sign, whatever all are the amendments which is impacting GST return, that will get populated in the next month GST reports automatically. And you as an expert need to take a call based on the transactions and the non-compliance or a lapse or an amendment, right? So this is one layer of button which can be used exclusively to track the amendments. The second button which we have enhanced in 3.0 is update party GSTN. So there were a lot of challenges in terms of getting errors of invalid GST number. So to solve these problems, in the GSTR1 report itself, we have given the button called update party GSTN. The moment you click update party GSTN, what all are the parties which is available in this particular GSTR1? Particular in this GSTR1 only, the list of parties gets populated, and this can be validated from the TallyPrime itself. So you don't need to go outside to validate this. So this will help the cases of GSTIN, error invalid GSTIN, as well as changes related to party status. There are some parties which are blocked for e-waybill or other things. So this can be easily known before upload, and definitely this will ensure that the number of times a single data gets uploaded is reduced to one only. So this will significantly help your staff to capture the error before uploading it.
Just as a consequence of this, here the amendments in Tally after the return is being tracked, what happens, how amendments which are done in GSTR1 in subsequent months, how those are updated in Tally. So for example, invoice of June is subsequently amended in GSTR1 of August, for example. So
Okay.
how that data will get updated in Tally?
So here, let's say I'll share my screen and we'll see in the Tally. So let's say here it's GSTR1. We are into this for the month of August. Now, let's say this is a bill and we are going to export this return. So let's say we go to export and export this GST return. So this return is already exported. Let's see if I want to see what all are exported. I'll go to basis of value and mark the first option, include transactions where no action is required. I'll mark it as yes, and I'll be able to see what all are exported. You can see here that particular this data has invoice applicability. So whatever are the transactions apart from invoices, those are the transactions are only reported, or the relevant section are only reported in this. In case, let's say we want to view the transactions for which the invoices are generated, in basis of value, we have given another option, include invoices. We'll mark it as yes. So we will get the whole view of transaction into this export window. Now there is another significant capability which TallyPrime has announced in 3.0. Let's say these all are the invoices which are generated and you as an auditor has already fetched it from the GST portal. But there are few transactions which are missed out and which could not be fetched from the e-invoice portal to the GST portal. So here we have added a flexibility. You can select a number of transactions. Let's say these all are the transactions which needs to be uploaded from JSON. So you can have a selective transactions and export only selective transactions in the JSON format. And this will help ensure that whatever are the exceptions are being taken care, and you as a professional has the flexibility to handle those exceptional uploaded transactions, non-uploaded transactions, and selective transactions which requires upload in a separate JSON file. So this can be easily known. Now coming back to your question, so let's say we have 100 invoice, we will change one of the invoices. So let's say for the time being, we assume that this data has been exported. So let's say we'll go to this bill 23rd August 449 and we'll change this. We'll edit this. For example, let's say 10 is the quantity. I'll mark it as 9. So I have marked it as 9 and amount has got changed. So this is my sales invoice. Now, if I go to 1st of September, so this transaction will appear here in a new category called uncertain transactions correction needed. But since this return seems to be not exported, so this transaction is not getting inside. Let's do one thing. We'll export GSTR1 from here for the time being. So we'll go to export GST return. In GST returns, we'll select all the transactions from basis of values. So let's say these transactions are exported and now the status will undergo change in the backend, and it will be a transactions where no actions are required. So here we have exported this and the JSON file is generated here. Now we'll go back to Tally. We'll go to August, let's say B2B, and we'll pick up any one of transaction. Let's say this is a transaction of cluster probe, and in cluster probe we have, let's say, bill amount of more than 7 lakh. We'll make a slight change on this. Let's say we are reducing the quantity and so as the amount will change. So we have changed the transaction in August, and that is for the invoice number 38. So here you can see the one transaction is already there in uncertain transactions. So for the month of August, it says it is uncertain. So let's go inside transaction with incomplete details. So this is related to HSN. We'll go to for the month of September now. So September 23, that will go through. So in September, so these transactions will appear in the uncertain. There seems some gap in this. We'll introspect this data and we'll come back to you. But definitely 3.0 will put these transactions in uncertain bucket and it will ask an GST effective date once it is exported, and user from the uncertain transactions will get to know that this transaction requires particular attention in terms of upload. So yes, Mrinal bhai will come back to you on this, whatever is the missing part on this.
Yes, yes. Only thing is what I was checking was that amendments which are done manually in GSTR1, amendment tab in GSTR1.
Okay. So
So-
amendments, you will not to you'll need not bother, because here whenever the JSON file gets generated, it will also generate a section-wise JSON file. So amendments will also be incorporated in one of the file. Let's say as a user, you want to import only amended files. So there will also be a separate JSON for amendments, and that can be uploaded, and somebody do not need to take care it manually for the same.
Just one more question. Do we look whether Tally will be, providing that service of uploading the GST return directly onto the website, like a, complete sync between Tally and the GST portal? Is that in fact?
Yes, very nice question. So definitely, let's go to the presentation. So we have one context on the same. So here there is a Tally roadmap which is available. Let's go to the Tally roadmap. So here it's a screen of roadmap and what all Tally is working upon. So Tally is working upon the MSME reporting for the MSME reports and other timely payments reporting. And apart from this, there is also one entry called connected GSTN. So yes, whatever is the feeling of professionals, Tally has the same roadmap and DNA. So we want to make TallyPrime as a complete GST solution. So in line with that, we have connected GST as a part of our roadmap, and wherein you'll be able to upload GSTR1 3B from inside TallyPrime. You'll be able to download and reconcile GSTR1, 2A, 2B, and 3B at a click of button. You will be able to file GSTR1. You will also be able to validate GSTN while working on a live basis. So all these enhancements that is already undergoing a development, and soon fraternity and other users will benefit from this. And as you mentioned the word, which I would like to mention, so that Tally has the same DNA in line with your thoughts. So the books of accounts must be in the sync with the GST data, which is available in the cross platform. So at the moment, GST data is available. So it is residing on the invoice portal. It is also residing somewhere in the e-waybill portal. It is residing on the GSTN portal, which is the parent portal for return filing. So Tally has the robust connect using Tally GSP with all these platforms. In the next phase, what we are working on is the connected GSTN. Many users call it online GST, online filing. So, but at Tally, we call it connected GST, because everything is connected to the different servers, different networks, and different platforms. And there is a seamless cross-platform data connection and data exchange. So Tally is working in this direction, and I hope soon we'll be able to come out with this solution with your association as well.
So, Parth, we can take a few questions from participants who have raised hand. I have unmuted Mr. Seturaman, Mr. Kuthalingam, and Mr. Narendra. You may unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Hello. This is Kuthalingam. See, whenever we export files, let us say bank account with a narration, you export to Excel, it doesn't come in the same line. Do you have any solution for that?
So that's the default behavior of Tally. At the moment, we don't have any solution, nor we are working on this, but definitely it can be worked upon, because this is the default behavior in which it is built, and there are many use cases which are also users have built around this. So if you have any specific use case for this, request you to share with us through BCS, and I'll definitely look into this.
Right now, we are actually doing the manually, all the entries to be moved to the next column and then shift it.
And sir, may I know the use case? What prompts you to do like this? Any specific?
Reason is, now, for example, let us say CS office. We wanted to reconcile TDS versus the amount receipt plus GST. Okay, number one. Number two, because all comes in 3-4 lines now. Whenever you take up a data, you want everything related to them in the same line. For example, the date, the particular head, debit amount, credit amount, GST, or whatever the breakup, and the narration on the same line.
So we'll connect with you, Kuthalingam sir, on this.
Yeah.
We'll listen to you. We'll also capture your requirements. If it is a generic, we'll definitely pass on to the relevant team and we'll work upon it.
Will a columnar report help in this?
Columnar report, you are not getting all the information.
Mr. Santosh?
Hi, hi. I just wanted to know, is there any way that we can look at the differences between one tally backup to another tally backup?
So it's a case of data comparison.
Yeah.
So if you go to data analysis, so there is a section called data analysis and verification.
1 second, I'll just make some.
So when you go to that section particular, you will have an option to compare the same company data for 2 different years. The only precondition is that you should have 2 different data for the same company. The moment you have that 2 different data for the same company, TallyPrime will be able to compare it ledger wise, and in what all ledger there is a difference. If there is a difference, that row will be spotted in a red mark. So to know more, there is a specific webinar, audit using TallyPrime. I would request to refer to that. That will also help you get some auditing perspective as well as the comparison that you are looking for.
Okay, I'll definitely look into it. 2 different tally backup means, can you please help me understand that?
So in the interest of time, we'll not be able to touch base upon the procedural parts. What I would request, just go through the auditing webinar. In the tally data itself, whenever you go to analysis and verification, just under the exception. So here you will be able to go to verification of balances.
Yeah, we can do that.
So that tally webinar is hosted on the tally webinar portal?
Yes, correct. And you can also check the verification of balances analysis, and that will solve your purpose. Verification of balances. It will verify the balances ledger by ledger, and whatever are the difference, that will be spotted in a red mark. Yes. Next question.
There are few questions in the Q&A if you would like to take up.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely take up. So the question we have, while the reconciliation, we have to enter GST number in invoice details as per GST or 2B or 2A in the books of accounts to get match, or we can enter details as per invoice. So to answer this, user is supposed to enter details as per invoice, because invoice is the physical document and the exchange of document which is given by the party, and that should match with the numbering which is uploaded in 2A and 2B. So as a part of accounting process, one should always enter the number which is available on the invoice only. If there is a discrepancy, that should be reported to the party. There is also a question, the example which you took in GST 2A for GST effective date, that is where you entered 15 July for April 23 invoice. But say if the supplier uploads the same in August 23 or say June 23, will TallyPrime auto match that? Because we cannot always accurately say when the supplier will upload invoice. Yes, Kunalji, definitely it will search across the data about the presence of similar supplier invoice basis on GSTN and the dates you have mentioned, and it will also look backwards, it will also look forward. So I hope your answer is as expected. The next is what if, okay, that is already taken. We are trying to follow this instruction of yours, but can't get some functions in TallyPrime Gold. Aditi ji, if you are not getting it, I would request you connect with your Tally vendor from whom you are getting support, and they will be able to help you resolve this. If you are still not able to get it, definitely you can connect with the helpline of Tally, or you can also connect Tally on the WhatsApp. So Tally's WhatsApp number is 90199100043. I'll also mark it on this. The next is, where can we get such ITC postponed invoices summary? So for that, I would recommend there are different stages where you will be looking to that particular invoices summary. If you are going to the reconciliation part, and in the reconciliation part, if you check the basis of values, you can also categorize or filter out only such transactions which are not reconciled. So you can always get the report of a section which is a mismatch in report. You can also save it using save view, and that way you will be able to see the mismatches only by default. There is a question on the invoice. Once invoice is generated and printed with QR, but at end of month when CA goes for reconciliation, he says few invoices are not loaded. How can we solve this issue? So here, whatever are the invoices for which invoices are created, so you can always keep it synced in the TallyPrime. So in TallyPrime, there is a feature called Get IRN Details. Whatever are the invoices which you have generated manually, but the status is not updated in Tally, you can update it. Now coming on to the second portion of this problem, which is not uploaded. So if those invoices are not uploaded, definitely one can go to GSTR1 report. I have also shown this. They can go to export GSTR1, wherein they can get the details of all the invoices for which IRN is generated, but somehow those cannot be loaded onto the GSTR1. They can select particular those number of transactions and can combine it in one JSON, and that JSON can be uploaded onto the GST portal. That way it will solve your problem of compliance, and it will ensure that no duplication occurs. Okay, the question is, can we include JV entry into a reconciliation? JSG, JV entry also forms part of two-way reconciliation, but to note here, since JV entry does not capture the details of supplier invoice number and bill date, whatever purchase or expenses you are passing in JV, that will go into the uncertain transactions. Visiting uncertain transactions, you will need to give those details which is required for matching into the GST reconciliation, and that way it will match. But I would recommend JSG, request everyone to pass any expense or purchase entry through purchase, because these are the fields which are available and matching with the data which we get from the GST portal in terms of GSTR 2A and 2B, and that way your reconciliation will be seamless and in a matter of seconds. The next is how to log the transaction that is claimed. So here there is a facility called mark as signed. There is, as of now, there is no facility to log a particular transaction. So if you want to log a particular transaction for a particular client or a particular scenario, you will need to go through a customization, because TallyPrime 3.0 has given feature of freezing the data in terms of GST, but somebody can edit or alter that particular transaction. That flexibility is still retained. The next question we have, when will version 4 will be released? We don't know the exact dates, but I hope this has to be in this calendar year. So in 2023, it will be there in the near future, maybe around Diwali. We'll definitely keep you updated whenever we have visibility in terms of date or something. The next is, my question is in reconciliation in to be versus books. Some of them are forward charge, some have to be in reverse charge. How the tally gives the reconciliation in case of reverse charge entries. So if it is in terms of reverse charge, I would recommend Pravinji, please import this use case for your clients, and you will get answer to your questions. Whatever is the reverse charge, that is an exception to the reconciliation, because here the tax is not paid by the counterparty, rather the tax is paid by the self-declaration. So RCM will be different, and that will have to be managed manually as of now. If you have a particular suggestion or feedback or any value addition that you are seeking, please connect with us. We'll definitely look into this. What are the new features in Tally 3.0 for filing GST 9 and 9C annual return? So GST 9 and 9C annual return, there is one report which will help you, which will speed up your annual filing, which is GST annual computation. Under GSTR 3B, there is one report, GST annual computation. It is very comprehensive report. You can drill down to a transaction level, category wise. I would request all the professionals to look into this report. That will simplify a lot of figures in a very lucid and easy manner, and that will save a lot of time of your staff. Once we do mark as sign as you show, then we send the backup to client. Will it show the report of altered voucher still? So here, Manisha ji, the essence is that whenever the client is sending a data to you for filing, then definitely they will stop the work, and whenever you are sending back them data, they will start working on the same data. So whenever they are altering previous voucher which you have marked as sign, definitely next time whenever you get data, you will have a list of all the transactions which are altered after mark as sign. The next is how to reconcile this amended invoice. So yes, Tally is working on the end-to-end solution to reconcile the amended invoices. Currently, it has to be reconciled by the button given in the right-hand side, which is set GST status, and wherein you can mark it as reconciled, unreconciled, mismatch. So currently it will be taken care as a manual, but we'll definitely work upon enhancing this. Next, once we do GST reconciliation of GSTR 2B, it will automatically prepare GSTR 3B in Tally as per 2B for ITC 2B claim. So here there are two dimensions to this question. So GSTR TB has two views, GSTR 3B. One is 3B as per books of accounts, and another is GSTR 3B after adjusting GSTR 2B credit. So in TallyPrime 3.0, GSTR 3B is the report which is as per books of accounts, not adjusted with the GSTR 2B credits. So GSTR 2B is a separate report. What ITC view in the GSTR 2B post reconciliation is different, and whatever you view in the GSTR 3B is as per books of accounts, as per the transaction date which is mentioned. So both is separate. It will not be automatic. The next question we have is, my client has already uploaded GSTR 1 of last month, but some IRN not reflecting in party GSTR 2A. And also if I search it in invoice GSTR 1 Excel, it does not reflect. how to rectify this. So I think Renuka ji, it's a unique case which we haven't noticed for others. I would request you connect with your tele vendor and they will be able to help you on solving this. If you are still not able to resolve this, we request you to come to us and we'll help you resolve this. The next is what could be the possible reason for getting difference in total invoice value as per GSTR1 report and that as auto-populated as per invoice data. So there can be multiple reasons for this because it depends on the cross-platform data exchange, the intensity or the frequency of cross-platform data exchange, and basis which this total figure gets a difference because in this case we are completely reliant on the operations and data exchange between the IRN portal and the GST portal. So if there is a lapse or a time gap or some sort of exception in that, we will not be able to find out the exact reason in this case, Rishabh ji. The next question is the example which you took in GSTR 2A for effective date, that is where you entered 15th July to April, but say supplier uploads the same. I think we have already covered this. So whenever you are trying to match the value of ITC, TallyPrime will search it throughout the year, throughout the data. The next is, while reconciliation, we have to enter GST number in invoice detail as per 2B or 2A books of accounts to get matched. This is also answered. It's same question, Setu Ramanji. You have to enter as per books of accounts or as per bill that you are getting from the party, because the document which you are getting from the party is the conclusive evidence as to its serial numbering. If there is a discrepancy, you need to go to the party to resolve this. So I hope we have answered all the questions, Abhinalji. So over to you, sir.